All right, today we're going to go behind the yellow tape of a digital crime scene. We're diving into the absolute first steps a forensic investigator has to take to secure digital evidence. And believe me, one wrong move can be the difference between solving a case and watching it go cold. It all boils down to one single critical decision.
So put yourself in their shoes. You walk into the room, and there it is, the suspect's computer, screen on, humming away. What's your gut reaction? Is it to pull the plug, right? Freeze everything in place. Well, is that the right call? Because what you do in that split second can literally make or break the entire investigation.
And here's why that one decision is so massive. It all comes down to the two different kinds of memory in a computer. You've got volatile memory, or RAM, which is basically the computer's short-term memory. It's juggling everything that's happening right now. Passwords, open chats, you name it. But the second you cut the power, poof, it's gone. Forever. Then there's the non-volatile memory, the hard drive. That's the long-term storage. That stuff survives a shutdown.
So you see, that running computer, it's not just a machine. It's an active and unbelievably fragile crime scene. Every single second that ticks by could alter or destroy evidence that's just fleeting. The stakes really couldn't be any higher.
This means the goal is never to just start poking around on the suspect's computer. No way. The real goal is to create what we call a forensic image. Think of it as a perfect, bit-for-bit snapshot of everything. It's like the evidence bag of the digital world, a completely sealed container that holds an exact copy for you to analyze later.
Okay, so job number one is to capture that super fragile evidence, the stuff that's living in that volatile memory. We're talking about catching the digital ghosts, all those little traces of activity that will literally vanish the second that machine gets turned off.
And you would not believe the kind of investigative gold that's hiding in RAM. We're talking about passwords for accounts they're currently logged into, encryption keys that could unlock everything, private chats, even hidden malware. And the key thing here, a lot of this is evidence of stuff that was never even saved to the hard drive. And yeah, you can't just, copy and paste this stuff. Grabbing the contents of RAM requires a very specific process called a memory dump. You have to use specialized, legally sound software that can grab everything from that volatile memory without messing with the evidence.
So here, you can see an investigator using a standard tool called FTK Imager. And they aren't just clicking copy. This is a precise operation. They're setting exactly where the memory capture will go. And see that little checkbox, include pagefile.sys? That's a hidden Windows file that acts like overflow for RAM, and it can be another absolute treasure trove of evidence.
And boom, the memory capture is done. A perfect forensic image of the computer's live state has been created. All those digital ghosts we were talking about, they are now safely in the bag, ready for analysis long after the original computer has been powered down. Okay, with the volatile memory secured, it's time for phase 2. We need to get an image of the hard drive, the system's long-term memory, which is where, the huge bulk of a user's data actually lives. Now, investigators have a few different ways to go about this, and they've got to pick the right method for the situation. A full physical acquisition is the gold standard. It's an exact clone of the entire drive. I mean, everything, even deleted files. But sometimes, maybe time is short or they're dealing with a giant server, they might do a logical acquisition to just grab the visible files or a sparse one to target specific types of data. But really, for any deep dive investigation, the goal is always a bitstream image. That's that perfect, identical clone. From that point on, investigators will only work on this copy, which makes sure the original hard drive stays completely pristine and untouched, just like any other piece of physical evidence from a crime scene. Okay, but this brings up a huge question, right? If you're only working on a copy, how do you prove in court that it's a perfect copy? How do you show that it hasn't been changed one little bit? The answer lies in creating a kind of unbreakable digital seal. This seal is created using a really cool mathematical process called hashing. Basically, hashing runs all the data from the hard drive through a super complex algorithm, and it spits out a unique string of characters. This is called a hash value. Honestly, the perfect way to think about it is right here on the screen. It's an electronic fingerprint. A hash value is the one-of-a-kind digital fingerprint for that specific chunk of data. If you change even one single bit of information on that drive, the entire fingerprint, the whole hash value, changes completely. And this right here, this is the moment of truth. The forensic software calculates a hash for the original drive, and then it calculates another one for the new forensic image it just created. And those two strings of characters have to be a perfect match. This is the mathematical proof that your copy is flawless and the evidence is pure.
I mean, that matching hash is everything. It's the industry and legal standard that proves the digital chain of custody is solid. It's what lets a prosecutor stand up in a courtroom and say, with absolute certainty, that the evidence being presented is authentic and has not been tampered with.
So, that's the foundational playbook for acquiring digital evidence. But as we all know, technology never stands still. And investigators are constantly running into new challenges that are pushing these classic techniques right to their limits. Today's landscape is a minefield of new problems. Investigators have to deal with full disk encryption that can turn a hard drive into an unreadable brick without the key. They're up against network storage devices, giant RAID systems with tons of disks, and maybe the biggest challenge of all? Cloud data, which might physically be sitting on servers in 10 different countries. And that really leaves us with this final massive question. For decades, a digital crime scene was a physical box you could grab and make a copy of. But when the evidence isn't on a local drive anymore, when it's scattered across a global cloud network, what does a crime scene even look like? How do you possibly secure that? That's the question that's shaping the entire future of digital forensics.